Today I am joined by legend of the A-League Gui Finkler. Thank you so much for joining me today, Guy.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk about football.
We'll start with an easy, straightforward question and one I love to ask everybody. Just where did your passion and love for football first begin?
Look, my dad and my brother used to play football, so I don't know. I think when I was maybe 2 3 years old, I used to follow them already, and I started when I was 5 years old. My brother used to take me to the training, and I always kicking the ball, off the field. And as soon as I had the age to start off, I did. There was something was in my blood.
And did you have any football heroes or idols growing up? If so, who were they?
Look, I never had like someone that I was, like very my idol, but I always, when I started like little bit older, I used to love like watching, Ronaldinho in Barcelona. I love the Argentina, Riquelme also, and Zidane was three of the players that I used to watch them and try to learn from them.
Now, I'd imagine a lot of people in South America have a similar sort of dream, that dream being a professional footballer. But for you, when was that moment where you decided, this is what I want to do for a living? I want to be a professional football player.
I think when I was 5 years old, to be honest. Now look, yeah, I can change, I can rephrase you. Like every single kid in Brazil wants to be a footballer. So it's a dream from everyone, and I don't know. It's really hard to make it professional here. It's a lot of kids trying to do the same thing, but there is no room from everybody. It's a shame that, but that's the reality. And when I was maybe 12, 13, I decided to move to play football. I used to play indoor soccer, and then I think that was the big decision that I made. To try to be a professional, and that was my dream. Like every other kid in Brazil, and I'm really happy I made it. I had a lot of friends that used to play much better than me, but mentality, not strong enough. So that's a 50-50. Have to be skillful, but mentality have to be really strong.
And when you finally achieve that dream, become a professional footballer, the first time you stepped onto the pitch and made it as a professional footballer, your debut, what do you remember about that match? And personally, how do you think you went during that game?
Yeah, that was as a professional. I was training in the in the club, and I was in mid of the training, and the coach from the professional team came and said, "Look, you are coming to the game, to the professional game." And I was in the mid session, and I said, "Should I go now?" And he said, "Yeah, you come now. Get off the training and then jump in the car, and then you come with us." So that was crazy. Everyone was watching me, and I was just step out of the training, jump in the car. At that time, we didn't have WhatsApp, just to tell anyone. So everyone was, making something up. Oh, where is he going? He's going somewhere. And then I went to with the coach. I jumped in the bus, and then that game I came in, I don't know, maybe for 2 3 minutes, but for me it was like that was a dream coming true. And now I didn't expect, so in football you need to be ready all the time, every time.
You spoke a little bit earlier about, not just skill, but mentality to become a professional footballer. So when you first were becoming a professional footballer, what were some of the difficulties that you had? Did you find the step up in training and lifestyle particularly difficult? If so, what was it about that?
Look, I have a rule now with the kids that I'm talking to. I pick up from 0 to 100 And I always say 30% of that is talent, and 70 it's all the rest. The way you look after yourself, the way you manage off the field, because and for me, it was very, very difficult. When you have 16, 17, we know these days what the kids like. They go to the school, and then Friday, Saturday, they catch up with friends, go somewhere else, travel, and that age in Brazil, you have to make a big decision. It's or either you try to become a soccer player, or not. And I left everything behind to try to chase that dream. And for me, wasn't that difficult, but in these days, I know I did the right thing. And I have a lot of friends that decide to try to do both. Catch up with friends and try to be a soccer player, and they didn't make it. So I was really pleased that I made that decision at that time.
And you also had a couple of loan moves earlier on in your career, one of which was with Wolverhampton Wanderers in England, which are a pretty big club. So what was your experience in England like? I know Brazil's, known for being football mad, but England is also equally as football mad. So did you enjoy it over there?
Yeah, I love that. Back in those days, it's been 17 years right now. 2006. So it's a long time ago. And to be honest, at that time, I didn't know much about it, football outside Brazil. And what I said before, you have to be ready every time, every single time. And the way I end up at Wolves, I was playing for Juventude. That's my hometown club here. And somebody came to watch the other number 10 from the other club. I didn't know that even after the game. And, I went there, I gave everything I could, and I ended up playing really well that day. And the guy said, look, I came to watch this guy, but the other guy played much better. So I'm going to talk to him. And he came talk to me after the game. And he said, look, can I have your mobile phone? I said, okay, that's it. I gave to him, and 3 months later, he called me and said, look, I have a trial for you in Wolverhampton for Wolves. I said, trial in England? I was like 20, 21. And the club here said, you can go loan and, see how you go. If you don't do well, you come back, and that's it. I said, okay, I'll have a go. And that was my first time in Europe, first time having a big travel. I didn't speak any English at that time. I couldn't say good morning or good afternoon, to be honest. And that was the part that was very difficult. On the field, I was feeling very comfortable, but apart from there, was like I was in the desert, like not communicating with anyone. That was tough. But like I said before, that was something I grew up very, very well at that time. That those difficult times, it made me a different player and guy for life.
And then after that, you went to Belgium and then come back to Brazil. Now, in Australia, we know a little bit about the lower leagues in, England, Italy, all that sort of thing. But a lot of us don't really know about the lower leagues in Brazil. So how would you describe the football over there?
Look, I'm gonna say, right now, how are they doing here? Like first and second division are really, really good. I can say I play both, and it's really good. Third division is still a good level. Like the quality players, they're still there. And the fourth division right now, they are really trying to grow up. It's still like professional. Every clubs are really, really professional with that. And I would say those 4 leagues in Brazil, they can still grow, to be honest. But the professionalism is getting much better. Since I left to Australia, when I come back, I can see they start growing. Like all people working at the clubs are having different mentalities, and so that's something really appreciate, especially like working with football right now.
Now, speaking of Australia, I'm going to assume most people who will be watching this would know you from your time in Australia in the A-League. But when you first come to Australia, how did that move first eventuate?
Look, in 2008, I supposed to move to Australia. I had an offer on the table here, and I was about to sign, and then was off the table, the offer, because the club finished in Gold Coast. So yeah, I supposed to move at that time in Australia, and then okay, the offer was off the table, and I moved on. You know, as a footballer, you have to do that. So, and then 2012, the offer came again, and then I was in another stage here. You know, I had like 2 years contract left in the club in Brazil, and me and my wife right now, we decide to go together. You know, I said, look, I think it's time for us to go. No kids, you know, like have a like adventure. You know, like to move to such a faraway country. You know, like different country, different language. You know, everything is different. You know, the A-League, you know, it's different league also. You know, and look, when the first offer came, we had in mind like to move. You know, so we have like we engaged like everything to go, and you just went for to be happy, you know. And since I made that decision, I always say like I did the right decision from day one.
And before you moved to Australia, how much did you know about Australia as a country? And when you first got here, was there anything that kind of was different to what you were expecting, or was it pretty much what you were expecting?
That was pretty much better than I expected, to be honest. In every single stage, you know, like the city, the country, the culture, you know, the clubs, the league, the level. So that was something. That's why, you know, I would have been still playing in Australia, you know, like because I really liked like for me, Melbourne is my second home city. I always say that. I don't know if you have that, but I have it. And you know, there was like a club that really helped me throughout a very, you know, unhappy thing happened in the first season. You know, like I didn't even show how I could be like a good player, and they look after me like very well. So I always pleased to that to Melbourne Victory, you know. So that's why we really loved that, and the expectation was much better in every single way.
And during the early period of the A-League, there was a lot of Brazilians in the league. Now, did you talk to any of those Brazilian players before coming over, or did you kind of just come over blind, you know, without talking to anyone?
I did, especially there was one guy that's my hometown here. He played for Adelaide for a long time. There was Fernando Heck, and he talked to me the first time in 2008 to make that offer. And in 2012 he came again. He called me and said, look, there is something. So I got everything, all the informations from country, league, culture, everything was from him, you know. And he always say good things about everything. And so that was my expectation was very good, but still everyone was much better when I got there.
And you just mentioned a little while ago when you first come to Australia in your first season, you weren't able to really show yourself. Unfortunately, you had a rather serious knee injury. Now, how difficult was that for you mentally? You know, you just moved across the world to a strange country, a new league, and almost straight away you've injured yourself, you know, quite badly. So, yeah, how difficult was that for you mentally to deal with all that sort of injury crisis?
Yeah, mentally, you know, that was something very hard to deal with. I had one before in 2010 in Brazil, the same injury, but you know, that was something different. You know, I just came to a new country, new league, new club. You know, not everyone knew how I could play, I could deliver football. So that was something very difficult when I got injured, you know, that I say, look, what are they going to think about me now? You know, I came in, I did the preseason, I played 11 games, and then I got injured. So, but then, you know, my missus always on my side, and she was really helpful at that time also, you know, to say, look, it happens, you know, you're a footballer, you're a soccer player, you know, injuries can come at any time, you know. And the club, I'll say again, I'm not tired to say that, you know, the club look after really well. They said, look, if you want to go to Brazil, have the surgery, and then come back if you feel more comfortable. And I thought maybe, I don't know, for 2-3 days, you know, I spoke with my family also here in Brazil and said, look, I have this, you know, I have to make the choice, you know, should I do here or should I do in Brazil? Because the other one I did Brazil, I had really well recover, you know. But then the club said, look, if you feel comfortable to go, you go, or either you stay. And then I decided to stay because I think it was more professional at that time, you know, to stay there. You know, the club was look after me. They did everything they could, you know, not to make me feel as comfortable as possible, you know. It was difficult times, but I'm really happy, you know, to come back the next season and was the only player to play every single game. So that was something I'm really, really grateful for that.
And in the introduction, I mentioned that you're a legend of the A-League, and I think not many people would disagree with me with that statement. You know, to be honest, when you come to Australia, you kind of took everyone by surprise with how well you played. You played some unbelievable football. But what was it about Australia in the A-League that you feel got the best out of you as a player?
I don't know, you know, I just feel very good. I feel home, you know, after maybe 2-3 months, I feel home in Melbourne, and the club, you know, helped me in every single part, you know, like off the field, on the field. And if you can have those things, you know, for me, my opinion is you can deliver your best on the field. And I was feeling home in Melbourne, and I was pretty good, you know. And at that time, you know, you physically you're still very good, and mentally even better, you know, like 26, 27. I reckon 27 is the peak of any player in the world. 27, 28, you know, like mentally you are very strong, physically you still like very good still. So, and I had that time in Melbourne, and I, you know, I could deliver. I'm very happy to help the team to win everything in one season.
Melbourne Victory is, you know, pretty much the biggest club in the A-League, certainly the biggest in terms of supporters, and you've had some very successful times there, not just as a player, but also as part of a team. So what was it like being part of Melbourne Victory when they had, you know, such success there?
Look, it's great. So yeah, I couldn't find a better word, but you know, it's so nice. You walk on the streets and someone came and say, "Look, you play really really well. You know, we're doing well. I'm a big fan of you." You know, those things, those things in football, it's payless. You know, you cannot buy something like that. And I was playing. I was like very grateful for that. And now I stopped it. I'm still very 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 grateful for that. You know, like you walk in some place and some people came and, look, I came to watch you and you did play well yesterday. Or even you say like you didn't play well, but you try your best. You know, because sometimes you don't play well. You know, you can see the best players in the world. Sometimes, you know, things doesn't happen. You know, but those things, it's something, it's in my memory forever.
And there was another club you, of course, played for in the A-League, Wellington Phoenix. You joined Wellington Phoenix as one of their big name players alongside Costa Barbarouses, you know, both leaving Melbourne Victory. Considering how you said, you know, Melbourne was pretty much your second home and the fan support and all that sort of thing, how big and tough of a decision was that for you to leave Melbourne Victory to go to Wellington?
Yeah, that was really really tough decision. I don't know, because at that time, I had opportunity to go to Wellington and Melbourne. Maybe they wanna like do a bit of change or something like that. But that was a big move. I did think about it to make that decision. Going to another country, playing the same league was a little bit different for me. And Costa went there. It did help me a lot. Like to have a teammate for 3 years and then move alongside him. That was something. It helped me to make that decision. So yeah, things didn't go well in the beginning of the first season. My wife was pregnant. We had the biggest earthquake in history in Wellington. I didn't expect that, to be honest. Then she moved back to Brazil. I was by myself in Wellington. Think that I didn't wanna stay at that stage, to be honest. I really wanna come back to Brazil to see my baby girl born. But I missed that. I don't have any regrets about that, because I love playing soccer. But that was a tough decision, like to let my wife come back pregnant, and couldn't be by her side to help. But we have family here, and that was the only decision, the only option we had at that time.
Do you feel also the fact that, both you and Costa were Wellington Phoenix big name signings, do you feel like that put a bit of a burden on your shoulders to perform? Whereas with Melbourne Victory, you come to the league and not a lot of people knew who you were. When you joined Wellington Phoenix, you were this big player with a lot of expectations. So do you feel like that kind of hampered your enjoyment for football and, your ability a little bit?
No, not at all. I love doing that move to Wellington to be, I don't know, like you said, big player or big name, whatever. That was why I want to be a soccer player. I want to be good. So I hit that stage to move to a club like that, and being like that. I always pleased to doing that. But a lot of people say that I moved there, whatever. But in my opinion, I did that. The club did everything for me. Also, tried to help me in any way on and off the field with those stuff, with the earthquake and pregnancy also. But the team didn't. If you grab those games back and you see the way we lost so many games, there was something. That's football. It's not the best team is gonna win the games. That's why passionate about soccer. Because you don't pick 11 good players and 11 worst players and they're gonna win. That's the chemical between everyone. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think if you grab the first season I was playing for Wellington after my girl born, we play I think 8 or 9 games. I scored 5 goals and 4 assists. But that's something people want to see, the way we didn't start well. And I always say the half glass. For me, I try to see the half glass full, not empty. So but a lot of people will have their own opinion, and but I always expect you're a soccer player and you're gonna have a lot of people watching you and have opinion on you.
Well, that's a very good mentality to have. As you mentioned, after you left Wellington, you went to Brazil, but you ended your career in Lithuania of all places, moving back to Europe. So what was your experience like in Lithuania? I know you won a little bit of silverware, but I personally don't know a lot about your time there. So can you just give us a little bit of insight?
Yeah. Look, I didn't know too, to be honest. And look, I came back here to play at my hometown club. We have a regional championship. It's going to start in 2 weeks right now and finish end of March. And after that, they start the championship. That starts in March and finish maybe half of December or beginning of December, whatever. And I signed for 4 months and came, Brazil, how crazy it is, in 3 months we changed 2 coaches. So the next coach came, he brought like 10 or 11 players with him, some 10, 11 players he letting go, and I was one of them. And I was home, and I would talk to my wife, I say, look, I think for me, that's enough, I had a few offers from Thailand also, and Malaysia, one offer from Malaysia also. I said, look, I don't want to go that far, have one kid, and I don't know. I think that's enough for me. And then came this offer from Lithuania. They were the champion at that time, the year before, and they were playing Champions League qualifying. And my missus said, why don't go this? It's 6 months contract. You go there, stay for 2-3 months. We go there, we stay for 1, and then 1-2 months more, and then you come back. I say, okay, let's have a go on that. And then, sorry, I was preparing myself at that time. I left the club for 1.5 months. I was training every single day. And I said, okay, I'll go. And there was one Brazilian there. I spoke to him, like I said, asked a few questions, and he was very, very honest with me. And so, look, the club is this and that, whatever. I said, you're going to stay there? Because you never know. And he goes, no, I've got contract here. I'm going to stay. I say, okay, I'm coming. And then I went there. At the beginning, maybe first month, I was like, getting tempo of the game again. And then I start playing, and, to be honest, I did really well, and we won the trophy again. And that was a very good way to end my career. The club wanted to re-sign me for 1 more year. And then I said, look, I think that's enough for me. I can still play maybe 1, 2 or more years. But then I said, look, I think that's enough. It's really far from my hometown, 2 kids now. It's a bit different mentality. So then I decided to stop. And then I came back home and took a rest for a few months after that.
Now, I think I've watched every single game you've played in the A-League for both Melbourne Victory and Wellington Phoenix. And there's one thing I remember about you. Whenever I think of the name Gui Finkler, I think of some outstanding goals, particularly from free kicks. So do you have one particular goal that stands out in your memory as your favorite? If so, which one is it?
Look, I think when everyone talk to me, they still remember that one against Western Sydney, and that was a good goal, last hit of the game. I was coming back from injury, playing Amy Park that I love to play there for Melbourne Victory. So that was everything you put together, and then I cannot pick another goal, even though I think I hit some good goals in another stage, but that one have, coming back from injury, I got in on the game. I got the free kick. I kicked the free kick. I score, and that was something I cannot pick another one.
I reckon he's been able to steal a metre or two here on where the foul actually occurred as well, which is handy. Mitch Nichols gave him the ball and said to the Brazilian, you do your magic. It's a difficult angle to try and pick out a teammate, isn't it? Will Finkler go direct? Looking at his teammate's far post. Finkler drives it. Oh! Gui Finkler! He is a star, this boy! Right into the top corner. A free kick of the highest quality from this Brazilian star. Off the bench, making the most dramatic of impacts again.
What's literally the last kick of the game. What a free kick. You won't see a better one in the Hyundai A-League. Kovic knows it's going there. He's got it up and over. It's superb technique. Look at the flight of the ball. Kovic outstretched, can't get a hand to it. Super free kick from Finkler.
All those Brazilian technicians down the years Zico and alike, but none have picked out.
I was very excited to do this interview when I told a few, friends excitedly that I'm chatting to Gui Finkler today. A lot of people have been asking me, where are you living? What are you up to now? So I thought I'll just ask you formally, what's Gui Finkler up to nowadays?
I'm back in my hometown here in Caxias do Sul, Brazil, where I grew up, where I have all families. The club that I start off playing, that's from here also. Now I have 2 kids. It's a lot of work, but it's very good to have them. It's a lot of energy they can give to you. It's very, very good. And look, when I stopped playing football in Lithuania, when I finished my contract, I took a rest, like maybe for 4 or 5 months. I didn't do anything, even though with football or. But look, if you hear the interview from the beginning, I started when I was 5 years old and I stopped it with 33. So I played 28 years football. So that's something I love it. And that's something I know about it, a little bit. So yeah, then I decided, look, everything I have on my life, it came from football. So now I need to give it back. And how can I give it back? So being a coach, I don't know if it's for me, even though I really like to help players. So then I thought maybe I still helping players, but off the field, So I'm like I don't like to use this word, but for people understand, like a agent. But the way I'm doing now, I have 2 people with me in my company here. So we are doing the way I love it, do it. And something I miss it in my whole career, like try to help kids to mentality. Like I said before, talent doesn't make you as footballer or soccer player, whatever. You have to have mentality, in those hard and decisions, to have someone to say, look, pick up the phone and call me or text me. And I'm not gonna make decision for you, but gonna help you to make the best decision. I hope so. So now I'm working with kids or like professional. I say kids because it's easier, but I'm trying to give it back to the soccer what they gave it. So I'm working with those kind of agents, to do a different job, try to be more close to players, to help, in any way I could.
Well, that was a very good answer, and I wish you all the best in the future with that role. But thank you so much for joining me today or tonight here for me, Gui. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And, talking about football, like I said, 20 years been doing that, it's always a pleasure. And, that's something I love it. Whatever you need, whatever you feel free to contact me and we can do something, So thank you. And I'll say hello for everyone in Melbourne. Say, I know it's I have some fans there, so say hello. And one day I'll go back to Melbourne when this pandemic time's finished. I'd love to go back, being back in Nemi Park. So I'll let everyone know when I'm going back.
Thank you for watching. This video is sponsored by Arrow Sport. Go to the link in the description and the friendly team at Arrow Sport will help you create your own football dream jersey. Whether it's starting from scratch or using one of their many templates on their website, creating a jersey with Arrow Sports is easy and prices start from just $50. Go to www.arrowsport.com.au and make your football kit dreams become a reality.